Everyone's suddenly an AI expert, right? Dropping buzzwords left and right.
It's true.
But what if you could be the one who actually gets it?
Yeah.
Today's deep dive. Your shortcut to sounding brilliant on generative AI. We're using this awesome free course from Allison.
Smart move. Going with Allison. They're legit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Thousands of free online courses, everything from like history to tech,
Mhm.
even diplomas and certificates if you're into that.
And they've got a massive audience.
Huge. Over 40 million learners. That's
Yeah.
wild. Think
Yeah.
about that. That's like the entire population of California learning new stuff.
It's amazing, really. Shows how hungry people are for knowledge, right? And the impact is there.
Totally. Over 2 million people have actually used these courses to make real changes in their lives,
Right.
careers, you name it.
Exactly. It's not just about the learning, it's about what you do with it and the sheer volume of what they offer.
Right. It can be overwhelming in a good way.
Over 1,000 courses in their IT section alone makes you realize how fast tech is moving and how important it is to keep up.
Which is why we're focusing on this generative AI course.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it down. For anyone who's still a little fuzzy on the details, what is generative AI?
You know, it sounds way more complicated than it is. Think of it like this. Imagine teaching a computer to create things, not just analyze them.
Whoa. Okay, so not just recognizing a picture of a cat, but actually,
Creating the picture itself from scratch.
no way. Based on what, though? How does it even know where to start?
That's the cool part. You feed it tons of existing data text, images, music, and it learns the patterns, like the essence of what makes a Mozart symphony a Mozart symphony.
So then it can just make more Mozart.
Potentially, yeah.
Huh.
Or a totally new musical style based on its training.
Okay, now that's just getting freaky. And are the possibilities really endless? What are we talking about here?
Pretty much. The course uses the example of personalized medicine, which is incredible to think about. Imagine AI designing drugs tailored to your specific DNA.
And it doesn't stop there, does it?
Nope. We could have crazy realistic simulations for everything from climate modeling to training surgeons.
It's like science fiction is becoming reality right in front of us. And this course tells you how to actually make these AI models work for you.
That's the really cool part. It gets into these things called GANs and VAEs.
Oh, there are those acronyms again. It's like learning a whole new language.
I know. But don't worry, the course explains them in a way that makes sense. Basically, GANs and VAEs are different approaches to generative AI, each with their own strengths. It's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Okay, so like for image generation, you might use
A GAN, maybe? For something else, a VAE.
And this course tells you which one to use when. That's super practical.
Absolutely. The key is understanding how to talk to these AI systems.
You mean like coding?
Not exactly. It's about crafting the right instructions, the right prompts to get the results you want.
They call it prompt engineering, right?
Bingo! Like writing the perfect Google search, but for AI. A well-crafted prompt.
Yeah.
Magic. A bad one. You'll be swimming in gibberish.
And this course teaches you how to write those killer prompts.
It does. And honestly, that's a skill that's only going to become more valuable as generative AI takes off.
This is already blowing my mind. But let's get real for a sec. Why should someone listening right now, why should they care about this specific course?
Well, for one, it's free.
Okay, free is good. Always a plus.
Exactly. And you can learn at your own pace, which is great. No pressure. Just you diving into AI knowledge whenever you've got a few minutes to spare.
So you're saying even if you're like super busy, you can still fit this in?
Exactly.
Okay, that does sound pretty tempting, I've got to admit. But let's say you're not a coder or a tech whiz. Why should someone like that care about understanding generative AI?
Here's the thing. This tech, it's going to touch everything eventually. It's not just about being, a tech person. It's about being smart, making smart decisions in a world where AI is becoming, well, everywhere.
That's true, and it's moving so fast.
Exactly. So even a basic understanding can be really valuable.
Can you give me an example? Like, how would this actually play out in real life?
Totally. Imagine you're in a marketing meeting, right? And suddenly you're the one who can talk about using AI to create awesome ad copy. Or you're a teacher who can tailor lessons to each student with the help of AI. That's the kind of edge this knowledge can give you.
Right, now that you put it that way, that's huge.
It is. And even just having a basic understanding it keeps you in the loop on new tech, helps you spot opportunities, maybe even spark ideas you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
That's what I love about learning new things. And speak of opportunities, wouldn't hurt to have an Allison course completion certificate on your resume or LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Especially these days.
Oh, absolutely. It's a tough job market out there. But that kind of certificate shows you're curious, you're learning, you're ready for what's next. Speaking of which, let's get into the course itself.
Yes. Fill us in. What's in this course?
Well, they've structured it really well. It's broken down into these like digestible modules, which I appreciate. Each one focuses on a specific aspect of generative AI, so it's not overwhelming.
Okay, good to know. I'm the kind of person who likes to take things step by step.
You and me both. So you start with the history of AI, which is fascinating in itself. Then you go deeper into those GANs and VAEs we were talking about.
Those still sound a little intimidating, I'm not going to lie.
I know, but trust me, the course explains them in a way that just clicks. Like, aha, now I get it.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah. And you explore how generative AI is used for image generation, text generation, all sorts of cool applications. But you know what really stood out to me in the description?
What's that?
Hands-on exercises. You're not just reading about this stuff. You're actually getting your hands dirty, playing around with the tool.
Okay, that's awesome. That's how I learn best,
Yeah.
actually doing it.
Me too. And just imagine, by the end of this course, you could be creating your own basic generative AI models. How cool would that be to say?
Seriously, that's bragging rights right there.
Right. And you know what else I like? They're not trying to make it crazy hard to pass. You only need an 80% to become an Allison graduate.
I love that. It's like they want you to succeed.
They do. And I think that's really important, especially with online learning. It's about making education accessible and rewarding, making people feel like they're part of something bigger.
Okay, we've covered what generative AI is and how this Allison course can, like, really give you an advantage. But before we wrap up, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
This tech is evolving crazy fast. Where could it all go? What does it even mean?
It's a good question to be asking. This isn't just about, knowing how to use a cool tool. This could be about how we work, how we create, all of it.
I know, right? It's kind of freaking me out a little, to be honest. But in a good way, I think it's just a lot.
It is a lot, and it's moving so fast.
Like, for example, I was reading an article the other day about how generative AI could completely change the music industry. I meant, like, instead of bands needing a whole orchestra, they could just generate one with AI.
Oh, that's already happening. And it's not just music. Think about architecture, graphic design, even writing novels.
Whoa, really?
Seriously, this tech has the potential to completely disrupt, like, every creative field out there. It's kind of wild.
Okay, now I'm both incredibly excited and completely terrified. Is that weird? It's like, I don't even know what to think anymore.
It's that classic double-edged sword, right? Like any powerful tool, any new technology, it all comes down to how we use it.
That's such a good point. Which is why understanding it, knowing what we're dealing with here, it's so crucial. It's like you wouldn't want someone making decisions about the future of your job, about your life, without you even knowing what's going on, would you?
Absolutely not. Knowledge is power, right? Especially with something like this. The more people who understand generative AI, who are willing to learn and explore, the better the chances we can actually shape how this all unfolds.
You've given us a lot to think about today. I
Yeah.
feel like my brain is officially overflowing.
Mhm.
Before we go, any final words of wisdom for our listeners? What should they do next?
If you're even a little bit curious about generative AI, and let's be real, who isn't at this point, go check out that Allison course. Dive in, start exploring, see where it takes you. This is an exciting time to be learning about this stuff. Who knows, you might stumble across the next big thing.
I love that. A little curiosity can go a long way. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into generative AI. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.